everybody, and welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I'm Shelley Pruitt, and my partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Mr. Ryan Roberts. Good evening, gentlemen.
How's it going?
Hey, you know us. Always into something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guys, tonight, go ahead, Blake.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I'm excited about tonight's guest. I've been wanting to have her on for so long now.
This is going to be such a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have had the honor and pleasure of being at two different Paracons with our guest tonight, and she is fascinating. She is the owner of the Broom Closet, which is a store that's operated out of her house, but she also takes it mobile. So if you go to a Paracon, you can buy. I bought Florida water from her last time, whereas she called it for me, "Bitch, be gone," and that shit worked. She's also the co-owner of Raven's Eye Paranormal with her husband, Chris, and you guys, she's an RN and she has a master's in education. So this lady has seen some of life and death up close, being an RN firsthand. She's also a demonologist and a Reiki healer, a psychic medium, and a channeler. And something that I'm very interested in, a kundalini rebirthing coach. Child, I don't know if it's enough fun the first time to do it more than once, but I'm willing to try anything. So I want to welcome our very special guest tonight. We're very excited. I want to welcome Miss Juli Couch. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Great. How about you?
Nice to see you.
I'm doing pretty good. We're excited. Like I told you in the message, I was like, I have been dying to have you on. I'm so glad Shelley reached out to you and got you booked and got you on here because I'm ready
so excited
to hear everything you got.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, right off the bat, what everybody wants to know is, let's say, how did you get into it and how did you figure out that you had this gift? Because you don't just go from little girl skipping down the street to I'm going to be a demonologist. So how did that transition happen?
Well, when I was a kid in grade school, I actually got in trouble, kind of bad trouble, for trying to table tilt and do a when it was head down rest time and quiet time, the teacher turned off the lights. And I actually had a table going and had my table mates, like we were rocking the table. And my mom and dad got called on that, and that shut that shit down real quick. Found I believe it's a first edition Parker Brothers, maybe a Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing with that when I was in grade school, and played with things. Shit. As long as I can remember, I've played with things and seen things. My dad passed away when I was 15 and got to contact him, and he would come and go as needed when I would get in trouble. He was always like there telling me, get your shit together. You can't do this. Got married. That was kind of a 20-year disaster. And so I had to drop what I did. We've all been there, right?
Right, yeah. It's called the starter marriage, learning what you don't want.
Yeah. And shut that shit down for a long time. Met my now husband, Chris, and we were hanging out, watching. Of course, back then, the only thing on TV was Zach Bagans, right? Mm-hmm. Adventurers, maybe Ghost Hunters, close to the same time period. You got to love Zach, whether you hate Zach or you love Zach.
He's entertaining,
Zach, right? He's a controversial figure that's name always gets brought up, whether you adore him or you can't stand him.
Yeah,
nobody's in between with him. He's very
polarizing.
Polarizing, yeah. He's very polarizing. So we watched him, and I'm like, I want to do this shit. This is fun. Like, I am an adrenaline junkie. I have worked probably 12 years in forensic mental health at institutions with the baddest level mental health patients there are, the ones that chop people up, the ones that are paranoid, the ones that have done things. And I vacillated between that home health nursing school teaching as well as level 5 prisons. So again, I'm working with the baddest of the bad, and it's a constant adrenaline rush. So to me, going ghost hunting and doing stuff like that was just, it was a way of getting the adrenaline rush without getting beat up too bad, which was happening in the institutions. Because there's a lot of physical abuse in the institutions. So to me, a scare or a scratch was really nothing. So I'm like, why not put myself out there? It can't be any worse than what I'm getting on the job.
you were like, well, I'm already getting this on this side. Might as well go see what's
might as well go
the other side. Yeah.
And the demonology came when there was an interest in it when I got fool me once, kind of one of those things. Like I went into a graveyard, and what's good in graveyards, but I was learning, right? And I had a multiple stage over a course of a couple of years conversation with this dead kid in a cemetery that people were gifting little motorcycles and little kitty cats to and things like that, only to find out when we went real time after about a year and a half and we had the money to get better equipment, that it was not a kid at all that I was talking to. So then I was like, well, hell, don't do this again.
Well, how did it reveal itself to you? Well,
the first time I talked with it, the old-fashioned recording, and then you got to go back and you got to go through all your tapes and you've got to listen to everything. And I had asked the appropriate questions. I didn't come in like Zach. I was like, can you tell me what color shirt I have on? Can you tell me my name? Do you like kitty cats? I see you like motorcycles. Just waiting for responses to be generated. And I got home and I said, you like kitty cats? And the question was, can I have a kitty cat of my own, please? And it was real time. Like, it was just like, it was a class A. It was so crisp and so clear. And I'm like, that is unbelievable for a $35 tape recorder. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he was able to identify the color shirt I had on. And I'm like, wow, that's super cool. So, that was all we got out of it. But the first time around at something like that to me was fucking amazing. So I'm addicted, right? I'm addicted. So we go back a few months later and it was, did you bring me a kitty cat?
It remembered you.
And he told me my name was Julie because I had introduced myself. Maybe I shouldn't have, maybe I should, who knows? And I said something about a motorcycle and it elicited I ride all the time. And I'm like, well, this is a kid. This is like a 4 or 5 year old kid. Now, the weird part about it is I went in the darkness. It was dark of night. I never flashlit his gravestone. I don't know why. There were toys there. I saw the toys, but I never looked at his name. I did not want to know his name. And I think to me, I was trying to prove if I could figure out his name without reading his stone, if he told me, then I could compare it. So understand, this is like cold turkey. Went in, there's nothing there. Like, I'm not looking at anything. I'm just trying to communicate. And the third time I went in, and I had purchased a Harley Davidson during this time. And so I go up and I'm like, hey, do you remember me? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I have headphones in and I'm running an SB7 now. And he said, so you got a Harley Davidson, bitch.
Oh, now he's name calling.
And it was not a kid's voice. And so then I called my husband over and we spotlight, and I shit you not, I have pictures to back it up. His name was Damien.
What?
No.
And I had never looked at that. And I went, I need to tell you, I went running. I was running. That was it. I was done. Ran like a stupid little schoolgirl. Like, I ran. Twice that night I ran. And so we left the cemetery, and I was smart enough then that I declared that nothing was going to follow me.
Right. Good.
Had enough. Now, this is the second time I wasn't so lucky. So we went like a mile around this loop, and so it's a cemetery, a church, and a bridge. And we went, and we'd been to the bridge before too. And we had gotten some names. Esther was a chick that had died on the bridge. We did not know the whole story, but she was young. And it was a hangman's bridge. And so we were on there, and this is, I should also say, this was like Halloween night.
Of course it was. Yes.
Why wouldn't it be? Yes.
Right.
And I took my son and his girlfriend at the time, and they were not into this at all. Like, I just kind of forced them to come with us on this journey, and they were not having a good time. They were not enjoying themselves. They were very overwhelmed with the energy. And they went back to the car, and they were in the car. And Chris and I are walking up the little bridge and over, and all of a sudden you hear this histrionic laughter. like from a horror movie, and the energy shifted and you could feel the wind coming around. And what I said was, we don't mean you any harm. We just want to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, the energy, and it started, like, I could feel it was pushing me off the bridge. Well, that was her story. She jumped off the bridge.
Oh.
So she was sharing her story with me, but I was going to go, I thought, off the bridge. So I took off screaming like a little bitch. And, and Chris followed me, running after me, not knowing why I was screaming. But, you know, if I'm screaming and running, anybody with me better scream and run. Right? And we had troubles getting in the car because my son had locked the car.
Oh, geez.
So we got in the car and we took off. And we got home, and she had come with me because I didn't declare. So she lived with us a year and a half.
Oh shit.
Oh, wow.
And I crossed her over. I didn't cross her over. I ended up going to a patient's house. I was home health at the time. And this 90-some-year-old lady who had a horse stable, who was one of the first people at the University of Missouri, she and her husband got paranormal grants to do research back in the 30s and 40s.
Oh, wow. That's
Wow.
cool.
And work with horses to work with positive spirits and apparitions through horse stables.
What?
Money, right? Like funding. They had the reel-to-reel tapes. And so this little lady could hardly walk on a walker. She had Alzheimer's and dementia. She was like, she had served in wars. She was a nurse, but she was brilliant, but her mind was lost.
Right.
Right.
But she could tell some stories from the past. And I get this call at 4:00 in the morning from her daughter, who's, you know, older than me. And she says, "You left something at my house." And I said, "What? First of all, this is why couldn't it have waited till morning?" And she goes, "Well, we found Mom. She had walked all the way like a quarter of a mile with her walker. She could not walk without assistance to the stables and was doing a full seance to elevate the girl that you left here.
Whoa.
And she has crossed over."
What the fuck?
And had been able to tell me the whole story. She had lost her baby due to illness. There was a plague, not plague, but like influenza type of thing that went around.
Yeah.
She didn't mean to kill her baby. It died naturally. She was so sad. The guy had got her pregnant, had left her. This was way back.
Yeah.
So she jumped off the bridge and hung herself.
Mm.
Oh.
Mm.
Whoa, that is that's crazy.
So then that interested me even more. So now I'm hooked. And so the demonology part, it's a long, I talk a lot. My bad.
Oh,
No,
I'm
you're good.
fascinated.
You're good.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
It's
I'm
very
still
interesting.
trying to figure out how horses cross over spirits, but
I don't know. Like I've got a book on it. It's equine spirituality. I guess there's horses think a lot like people in a lot of ways, and they're able to transfer they pick up on feelings. They're very feeling generated, and like I'm terrified of them, so I have no idea. I've never been close enough to one to know. But they said that they sense the same things that people sense.
I can see that. We raised horses. In my family, I was raised by my grandparents. We raised horses, and just the way that they interact with humans. If you're scared, they're scared. If you jump,
Right.
they, type thing. I know a lot of animals are like that, but it really is like working so closely with them for all the years that I did. There really is something about what they are able to pick up on. It's actually quite fascinating because you can see them actually change depending on who is coming around them.
Who's riding
Yeah.
them, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's
And how
really
many
cool.
how many stories do you hear from like colonial times when there was like a ghost story, the horse like freaks out, so
Well, yeah, they sense those things. So the horse, I guess they had shit. I'm glad she didn't burn the barn down. I guess she had candles going. She had all this shit going in the barn at night. She's 98 years old. She don't give a fuck. She's doing all this stuff. And then lastly, the most recent thing was like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. Was it? I think it was post COVID, maybe. I got my times.
That's all right.
We got a call from this guy who had MS, and his doctor referred him to me because he had shit going on in the house. And the doctor was like, "I don't think he's crazy. I don't think it's like organic. I think he really's got some stuff going on. So let's go check this out and see." And we get there, and this guy was a big follower of Norwegian metal.
Oh.
Okay.
And, you know, it started with the band Ghost, and he had backstage pictures, and he had a homemade Ouija board from the band Ghost, and they had all signed it, and it had blood stuff going across it. And then it went on to multiple other bands. He had an upside down cross tattooed on him. He had the insignias of all the bands tattooed on him. And to him, it was all fun and games. Like, he was like, but this is just a show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but when you hang that shit above your bed and this is all you think about and this is all you talk about, like, I'm not going to be the person. The paranormal group we work with, their big thing is like a Ouija boards and tarot cards. And I understand where they're coming from completely. I mean, I've brought in a lot of shit through Ouija boards over the years.
Yeah.
None of which I would consider demonic. It was kind of ugly sometimes, but it wasn't demonic. But this guy really got into the lifestyle of all this stuff and was having physical symptoms. And he had videos of things moving and noises at night. And we got there, and I did a rough Estes method, very rough, with cameras in the room, and went and lay down on his bed, and we shut the doors. And it got to the point where I thought I was having seizures. Like, I could not, I had uncontrollable shaking. My body got so cold, and I was really pretty much non-functioning at that time. And the door that was banging, and I was yelling at Chris to knock it off. Like, quit fucking with me. Quit banging on the door, guys. Nobody was doing that. They were filming someplace else.
Oh.
So they came in and they started shooting pictures with cameras, because that's what you do, right? You don't help the person who's laying there.
Yeah, just make sure you get it on camera. That's right.
Get it on camera. This is important. And we actually have a picture of a blood red, like, smoky cross going into my side at that point in time. So then I did another session, again, rough Estes, in where he had 3D printers, and he had a very small room, like half the size of the room I'm in now.
Mm-hmm.
And he had 5 3D printers going and a whole bunch of computers. So you can imagine the EMFs that were in that room.
Oh my God.
Right.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And I mean, the
Astronomical.
spin was fucking crazy. And I sat down on the floor, and they stayed outside the room, and the door was closed. And I had one person in with me filming, and the person was asking questions. Could not hear him, did not know that the guy's house, the owner of the house, had gone back to his bedroom and was throwing insults and asking his own questions. And so my responses were absolutely off the wall. And
Why would he go and do that? Why would he go and do that?
He wanted to provoke to get a response to see what this was. And we didn't know the full history of the house. And prior to that, there had been a cop that had been across the street. And I guess he came home on a drunk, and his wife was cheating or something. I don't know the full story, but I guess he shot at somebody or shot somebody in that yard.
Whoa.
So there was like a whole bunch of stuff in that neighborhood as well. And so he was saying things about the cop, like, are you a fucking pig? Do you take it up the ass? Do you do all these different things? And I'm on 4s, and I'm like thinking, I'm popping my neck, and I'm thinking I'm going to run up on the ceiling. This is the first time I have no pain in my body at all. Watch me go. And I just started spewing insults. And all of my insults, come to find out, were answering his jives at me.
Wow.
Telling him what he could do with it, what I was going to do to him. Like, it was a whole bunch of stuff.
And you said that was recent?
That was probably 2 years ago.
Okay. Oh, well,
And
yeah,
that's
that
what it
would
was
be
like.
recent.
I think I had a partial possession at that point in time. I would call it partial. I was in the back seat. I was aware that shit was going down. Could only tell you a small portion of what was going down.
Right.
And it took me about 3 weeks to get over that. And in that time period, Chris and I had discussed, is this what we're going to do? Because I was a different person to live with completely. And he's like, I can't do this. Like, you're going to have to figure out a way to get your shit together if we're going to do this, because this is not cool for either one of us. And I'm not going to watch you destruct, and I'm not going to watch
Absolutely.
the spiral. And I wouldn't listen. I mean, it was like, I knew I was off, but there was nothing I could do about it.
Right.
Because that's what happens.
So is that kind of how you, I guess, I'm going to use the word evolved, like, because I mean, you kind of told us how you've gotten going and all this stuff, and some of the more recent stuff. Is that how this has evolved into you doing the Reiki healing and the kundalini rebirthing and all of that stuff?
So the Reiki, I've been a Reiki master since since my kids were 2. My son was 2, and he's 34 now. I never did anything with it. I did at the time, but I wasn't good at sorting out energy and separating my energy from other people's. This has taught me to be completely break. I mean, I can suck in stuff, and a lot of times I will eat the nasty energy, or I'll take in. It's easier for me to get rid of it later than to deal with it in a public place. I have problems turning things loose in public places. So I'll take it in, but I also get rid of it really quick. That taught me how to do that. But yeah, and kundalini is a whole different thing. It's yoga. It's a form of yoga. It's movement yoga, and rebirthing is going through trauma layers to rebirth and unload 7 generations back and 7 generations forward, and heal trauma wounds. Because a lot of the people that I work with in reading and in the psychic realm have been so traumatized as well. I mean, they've been sexually abused, they've been addicts, they work in the streets. There's just story after story. And so we don't just go and investigate, we clean people and clean houses as well.
So real quick, you said that you go back like 7 generations for the kundalini rebirthing. Are you talking 7 generations in your immediate past, or are you talking about past lives 7 back?
In your immediate, but you can go back that far, depending on the work that you want to do. You can go back as far as you want, because a lot of the things we do as children and we feel as adults is a carryover from past lives, I believe. I mean, people are up.
Well, I do too. Whenever you have that strange, weird phobia or thing you're afraid of, and you have no reason to be afraid of it because nothing's ever happened to you with this, or that weird, intuition that you have around something when you've never had a reason to look at it a different way. I think that there's something holdover, and you can call it your gut or whatever, but I think it's something from your past soul that bleeds through a little bit in order to protect you for whatever reason. So, all right, that's good to know. We may have to try that. We may have to do our little Juli Couch rebirthing session.
Oh, it sounds a little painful to me, but that's all right. I'm down to try it.
That's right. I'm down to try anything.
So I kind of want to step back a little bit, and you were talking about when your parents kind of found out about you table tipping, and your father came to you after he died. Were your parents supportive of your gift as you were growing up?
So that was dropped with my dad. Nothing more was said about that. Before my dad died, he had a kind of an interesting history. I think he knew something was up. He had very high blood pressure back then. They didn't treat it so well. It was Valium. There wasn't a lot of choices.
Right.
And he went through a weird thing where I think he had every religious type of document. He had, I mean, just every type of Bible, every religious belief type of thing on the back of the toilet. And so he'd sit in there, and I think he highlighted and he read, and he was trying to figure it out before he died. He spent the longest time trying. He was also a ham radio operator, and I could always send, but I could never receive. It's just an ear thing with me. And for years, you could hear him ham radio in the house. And I know he was trying to communicate with me, but fuck, I couldn't receive. It was that bad. My mom did not support it. Even in her later years, she did not support it. She knew what I was. I made it very known. I was back into that as I was working in nursing before she passed away. And she even told me, she said, don't expect me to ever come back and talk to you. I will never come back and talk to you. It's not a you thing. I just want to move on. I don't want to be stuck there trying to talk to you. You're not going to keep me back. I got shit to do.
She's like, I got an afterlife to live. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And I think that's how she saw it. Like, I was enough problems in everyday life. She did not want to be confined to that when she moved on. What's funny, though, is she came back to me twice. She's come back to me twice through other people. Only through other people, because I'm currently living in her house. I have her house.
Oh.
My son has my house. But she's come back through other people. And the first time she came back, she told the reader, it was really funny. She said, tell her that I said I would never come back.
That was how you knew, right?
And I knew. And she goes, you were right. I should have listened to you. You were right. And I'm not going to say it again. And that was it. And the second time she came back to the same person, and this was Kat Walker. She said, and she's got this little dog with her. And so my mom had a Scotty dog that I had gotten for her, and the Scotty dog had health issues towards the end, and the Scotty dog passed away before my mom passed away. And she had it cremated, and the one request she had was that the Scotty dog go in the vault with her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Scotty dog was with her. And of course, Kat didn't know anything about this dog. And she said, and she still smells. Well, the dog she had this issue. She's a Scotty dog. She had skin issues. And so my mom always fed her fish oil capsules, and she always walked around smelling like a fishery. And she said and the Scotty dog still smells. And she said she wanted to thank me for letting Maggie go with her. And then Kat said, and I need you to know your dad is not with her. Well, they stayed together because of me. That was the whole thing. And I said, well, I would hope that they were not. It would not have been, wouldn't have been, wherever they went, it wouldn't be peaceful if that had happened. The dog, she was really happy that she had her dog. And then she said she was done. She just she had forgotten the first time to thank me for the dog. So she kept it very short and sweet, and that was it. She went.
That sounds like some shit. Something like my grandmother. It sounds like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm going to come back, not to you, but to other people, and be like, just tell her I wasn't going to come back. Just to
and that's how I knew it was crystal clear. It was her. That's how I knew that it was her. Because that was the first thing out of Kat's mouth. Is she said she wasn't going to come back, and I'm like,
hilarious. It's so funny.
Mom, thanks.
Coming forward just to be like, I told you. But
and that's always I told you so. So she got the last.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is funny that she would come back to someone else, anyone but you, to tell you the message. But still, she's like, I'm not coming back for you to tell.
Well, yeah, because she didn't want me holding her back. She didn't want me going. And to this day, my daughter gets mad because I don't go to the gravesite and I don't hang out and I don't do anything with it. And I'm like,
she's
no,
not
because
there.
they're not. First of all, they're not there.
Yeah.
And I pick up other things every time I go. Nobody understands that. So I just stay away from it because there's nothing good in graveyards. I mean, I play there, but I'm not going to play where my parents are. That's just, I don't know. That seems weird.
So I have a question. And if you don't want to answer, I mean, whenever we were at the Spirit Con, we got to sit around afterwards and we got to talk to you. And you made a very interesting comment that I meant to ask you in the moment, but you were telling such a wonderful story. I didn't want to interrupt you. You said something about how the naughty things comes, and actually you said it already tonight. I just wanted to go back to it. You said that you kind of eat and absorb the naughty, nasty things. Can you go a little bit more into that? Because you were talking about something really in particular in that moment that basically it just kind of come up on you and you were just like pulling it and getting rid of it and expelling it.
I would not recommend anybody who's not done this before to try this. I have to put out that warning because I understand that it is super dangerous.
Yeah.
It is. You never invite anything into your body. And I mean, Reiki will teach you that. There is no healing out there that teaches you to take other people's shit into your body.
Yeah.
However, that being said, when you don't know what else to do with it, that seemed like a really good idea the first time I did it. And I had watched one of my friends do it. And I was like, well, shit, it works pretty well for her. Let's try it. And you have people take a deep breath. And as they're releasing or as you're pulling the stuff out, instead of just kind of like turning it loose and hoping it grounds or hoping it goes with Archangel Michael or whoever you're calling in to destruct or carry, you just kind of suck it into your body, which if you're a channeler can be a really cool and amazing thing. It could be a really nasty thing too, because there's a lot of vile things. I mean, you're not sucking in anything good. Let me put it that way.
Right.
I mean, if you're taking something out of somebody's body, it's not pureness, love, and light.
Right.
Right.
So number one,
Right.
it's going to taste bad. You're probably going to get diarrhea. You might throw up. We always keep trash cans around when we do that. We sound like we're a pterodactyl, a T-Rex, and the Exorcist all combined, because when you do that, you're like expelling this air, and we
Right.
gag. You end up hanging over a trash can, retching.
Been there, done that.
But I also have something that came to me in one of the last. Well, it was the last shit. Where was that at? Omni. Casey Spirit and Paranormal Omni. They had one up at the Masonic Lodge, and I ground with hape, which is an Amazonian tobacco snuff, and it's plant medicine. So I do a ceremony before I do gigs, and I huff this stuff, and it's like a 7-minute trip in and out, but it gives you the messages that you need to ground in what it always tells me what's going to happen for the day. Like, it's a real quick, it's going to be an oh shit day, be prepared or whatever. And this little dude came to me, and I can't even describe him, but he had really sharp teeth, and he kind of looked like an anime character, but he was kind of weird, like he really wasn't a person. And he's like, you will take me in, and I'm going to work with you. And I don't take things in, and I'm usually like, no. And I didn't have a choice. This thing assimilated. And this is a wild story. I know people are going, she's out there. I can put my hands on people now, and I can feel him. He'll say, okay. And he takes off, and he starts at 1 foot, and he goes through their body, and he cleans everything out and tells me where everything is.
What would you say he is?
That's what I was going to ask.
I have no idea. Kind of a druid-like little very imp. I don't know. I can't describe him. He's not nice.
But he just
do other things. He's not. I don't think he's harmful to me. He only eats the nasty stuff out of people. It's how he feeds. And that's my work in half. So I'm like, seems like right now it's a win-win. May not be later since I channel, but he's only come up with things that needed to be cleared. So I don't know.
I'm like, the only thing that I can see right now is Julie has this German Shepherd on a leash and just unleashes the leash.
And that's what it feels like. That's the mental thing is it's go. Okay, go. And he goes. And then he comes back and it's done. And people will tell me that they can feel pains and aches and things popping in the areas that need to be released as this is working. So I don't know if he's an energetic form. I don't know if it's a figment of my imagination and I'm fucking crazy and I just created this alter ego that does this shit. I don't know, but it works. I mean, I'm open.
But you know what? If it were, that's the thing. We're in such the world of the unknown. Nobody knows exactly what everything is. No. And if it works, it works. You know.
So, what have been the repercussions to you after you turned? I don't know. Do you have a name for him?
I don't. Can't come up with one.
That's
have tried. I cannot come up with one.
Yeah, I have an imp that runs through my house. So and whenever I'm out of town, he acts up. You know, whenever I come back, he's fine, but he'll still be a jerk every now and then. Doesn't bother me. But I don't have a name for him either.
Yeah, so, and I keep trying to come up with a name and try to figure out his name. And all I know is what I feel and what I've been told is when I'm ready, I'll know. So I live with that. I'm just like, okay. I mean, my world's crazy enough. That does not, whatever.
That's minor, right? But the repercussion to you is very small.
I don't have any that I know of.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sick and I'm not drained. He cuts my work in half.
So do you think he was just hanging out in that building, or was he left over from a summoning or something maybe?
I have no idea. I have
he
no
just
idea.
Appeared, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, he came during the Hape session, so I don't know if that was just. He could be some kind of Amazonian spirit. Like I don't know. I've tried to find out. I've tried to refer. I've Googled that shit. BTS, Google that shit. I've not found anything, so I don't know.
Huh.
That's fascinating to me. For me, it's the first time I've actually heard of something along that lines of assisting in cleansings or clearing out of
But with
negativity or
no
anything like
negative
that.
repercussions.
Yeah,
to
with
the
no
person.
repercussions.
Yeah.
I mean, there
That's
could
very-
be, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, I might find out that it's demonic and it's eating my soul. But right now, I think it's okay.
Right
I
now,
mean,
she's
we
on our
never know, right?
podcast. I was going to say, right now, she's on our podcast telling us his story right now.
That should make him happy. He'll like that.
Yeah. Or not. We'll see. If something happens tonight, I'll let you know.
Absolutely.
So what else in that realm? Because I know that we like Shelley had said at St. Joe, whenever we were talking, we had gone quite far into a lot of things whenever we were all sitting around. What other things do you work with kind of in that realm to help either clear, cleanse, or assist you in any way in the
Or
paranormal?
protect you even.
Yeah.
I use a lot of selenite. That comes from Reiki and crystal work. I have other stones that I work with, but selenite's really my cut and clear. I work with St. Benedict's metals. If you've ever seen the Pope's Exorcist, they do work. And I have randomly, yes, because somebody's going to ask, I have randomly walked up to people and put my hand on their back with one on my hand. Just because I knew there was something on them and I needed to elicit a response to make sure. These were random people that did not know me.
That's always fun, touching strangers. I'm all here
how
for
are
it.
you? Whoa.
Cold metal.
Whoa. Total freak out. And then I usually explain myself afterwards. You had an attachment on you and it needed to come off. I try to get it off. I don't just let them walk around with it.
Well, Shelley kind of does the same thing, but we had to put a stop to it whenever she got an assault charge pressed against her. Just kidding.
It wasn't an
Well, I can
assault
see
charge. It
that,
was
though.
just a restraining order.
Just a
restraining.
order.
She grabbed a little too low, is what happened. So it's
Hey, that's where I felt it.
strangle that bitch.
Yeah, that's right.
I use a lot of holy water, which goes against a lot of different principles because a lot of people will say you're not Catholic. I'm not Catholic. My mom was Catholic. My dad was Baptist. They were married Methodist. They converted to Lutheran. I was Episcopalian, and I have Jewish godparents. So
well,
I can
you got all
That's
nailed.
just like anything should work
I can
for
kind
you
of claim anything I want to claim. Initiated baby level in Haitian voodoo, leukemia, and Ifa. So I've got a gamut of things that I've been initiated into, but have never followed through because of, I would have to say corruptness of houses and the whole religious institution. But still use the Lord's Prayer and the Hail Marys and blessed stuff.
I think that's what draws me personally. I think that's what draws me to you so much is because you pull from so many different things, and I connect with that a lot because I do as well. I don't subscribe to just one certain set of belief systems.
No.
And I'm also not Catholic, but I use holy water. It's just things I like to tell people that I subscribe to the belief of intent.
Absolutely.
I believe, yeah, exactly. I'm like, if I believe that it's working, then I can pull from different.
We manifest that shit.
Yeah, exactly. No
if
shit.
I believe I'm
like,
going to pull it, I'm going to pull it.
Right. It's what works for you. Yeah.
But you also have to have limitations and boundaries, and you have to know where your limitations and your boundaries are. People get kind of pissy when you tell them you'll work with anything. I'm not going to summon a demon that I can't handle.
No.
But if I need one and I know I can handle it, I'm not afraid to summon it.
So let's walk down that path. I'm glad you opened up that door because that was one of the things that we were talking about that night. About that you do have the ones that you particularly call on in the, let's call it the realm of the demonic or the not so nice ones that you use not only for protection, but also for help if it's necessary. Can you go into that just a little bit? Are you comfortable going into that?
I will go into it a little bit.
Okay.
Baphomet routinely shows up and asks if I need help. There have been times where I have called upon him because, you know, people don't get the demons. They don't have scruples. So,
Mhm.
I mean, they'll turn each other in a heartbeat. So if you've got one that's willing to pull out another one for no payment, just for fun and games and sport, I'm assuming, then I'm not afraid to cross that line. But there's also times where I don't need the help, and I'm like, yeah, you know, no, thank you. That's not what I'm into right now. I'm not. I'll call you if I need you. The legal demons work really good for legal cases, and their payments are usually very, very small. A bottle of alcohol, a pack of cigarettes, very trivial things. Again, don't do it if you can't handle it. Don't, you know, the warning is out there because they do hang around, and the more you play with them, the more they will come out, and the more they will try to draw you in, because the dark side has cookies and it's faster and it's, you know, I'm not going to say it's more powerful, but it definitely has a draw.
I think that's the part that fascinates me about your story is that, you know, in what we do, a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, we're, with you being the 1 out of 10, that we're told, you know, don't cross that line, don't go this far, you know, because of what you just said about the,
well, I mean, and there's been close calls. I mean, you don't learn what you learn. You know, the first question you said was, how did you get into this? Mistakes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mistakes.
Right.
And then you go down that rabbit hole or not. I mean, some people choose not to go down that rabbit hole. But to me, I have a friend that's always like, when I work with her in Reiki and we work on people together, because sometimes we get cases that we both have to pull off as the people. She'll be like, let it fucking go. Don't play with it. I play with the stuff I pull out. I want to smell it. I want to taste it. I want to play with it. Because if I smell it, taste it, see it, feel it, and play with it, then I'm going to know it the next time.
Understand it a little better.
So when I walk in a house and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I've done that one before.
Yeah.
It tastes really bad and he's really hard to get rid of. Then I know before I touch it what it already is and what to do for it. And that's my way of doing it.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it. I get where you're
Right.
going with that, because you get a familiarity with these things out in the paranormal world, with whatever entity may be, whatever energy it may be.
Or somebody walks by and you're like,
yep.
Oh shit. I know what they got on him. You know? Yeah, that was a bad one. I threw up after that one. I'm not doing that. We're not doing that again. You know those things.
She said you need something and it's not secret.
Well,
it's not. Whoa, no, that one tastes really bad. You do not want to eat that one. Ate it once, don't eat it again. So, get a jar real quick. Put some holy shit in it and put that in that jar. Don't eat it. That's a
so that's actually something that if you are in the paranormal for any length of time and you encounter the same spirits, entities, whatever, and over, you do get to where there's a familiarity. They somehow figure out a way to let you know.
Yeah, they do.
And I think it's sometimes whether or not you're paying attention. And if it was somebody, this is why I think is why you said to, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it, because just as much you want to play with it, it's going to play with you 10 times harder.
Oh yeah.
And if you are not familiar with it, best tread lightly or to just walk the other direction.
And protection. I mean, you have to understand, and I'm sure you guys have your own form of protection in your house. I have tons of protection in my house, and shit still gets through. I mean, it's not an everyday thing, but it's a thing in this house. I mean, we see things will walk through. Right. Number one, I'm an open portal, so things will come and go as it needs to communicate. I have boundaries set, but that doesn't stop some things. I mean, things will still find a way to come through. I'm also, I stay clean. I mean, I'm constantly salt bathing and I'm doing head washes. And I mean, I go back to the spiritual aspects that I was taught in the various religions to keep myself clean. And I have a partner that keeps me in check. And now I've learned to listen to my partner when there's something on. I don't always do it right away because sometimes I'm getting that little buzz from that thing that I got on me, or I'm trying to figure it out. But the next day I will get in a tub and I will do a full scrub, and I take care of that. So you don't walk around with attachments going down the tanker like so many people do. And again, I think this is awful. I'm going to piss some people off again. I thank Zach Bagans for that, because you watch him, and to me, he's like a dude who's always on the edge of self-destruction. There's just something not quite right. And then he used to have Debbie and Constantino.
Yeah, Constantino, yeah.
And I loved them. Like, for some reason, they were my go-to. Like, I think she was out there enough, but they were both with the violence and the self-destruction, and watching that couple go down the tubes till it ended up in murder-suicide.
Yeah.
The first thing that taught me was, this is how you're going to end up if you don't take care of yourself and you're in this business. And then the old adages, your witches. Think about being a witch and you see all these things, and why do you think witches are always denoted and described as being like wrinkled and absorbed and near death and ugly, and their hair's falling out? And it's because they're not clean. They absorb all the shit that they're doing.
Yeah.
So if you're going to work with energy, you have to keep yourself clean. You have to know balance. You have to know moderation, and you have to know your boundaries, because there's a consequences for anything and everything we touch and do.
Absolutely on that.
And I'm not talking the Wiccan read of 3. I'm not I'm a hashtag on all my shit's not a fucking Wiccan. I'm going to piss some Wiccans off there. I'm not a fucking Wiccan. I will work with either hand and do what I need to do. But there's a consequences for everything.
There is.
Right.
I want to ask one question real quick that popped up in our comments a bit ago, since you're talking about attachments again. One of our viewers wanted to know, the people that you just randomly walk up with the Benedict coins and touch, are they grateful or are they freaked out?
Do you know I have never had anybody shoo me away?
Really?
I have never have I had anybody say anything to me in a negative fashion. Never.
So they would lean more towards kind of the grateful.
They'll come down and they'll sit at my booth and they'll say, okay, is this like to make money? Well, first of all, I need people to know, if I'm at a gig and you need some help, my readings they'll cost you out the ass. But everything else, like if I feel the need to pull something off of you at a gig, I'm not going to charge you for that. The paranormal investigations that we do, unless you're a real estate agent or you're somebody who's hired me to come in and clean. If you're a family of 5 and you're desperate and your kids are losing their shit and I don't charge for that kind of work. If I'm independently contracted with you to come clean property and clean things, I'm going to charge you.
That's fair.
I can understand that.
If somebody hits me up and says, I've got kids that are being scratched and I've got this and this, and we've lost our family and we've got pets that are dying and we've got this, I'm not going to charge you to come out there.
That's somebody
because
needing
that's
help.
That's not right. To me, that's not ethical.
We feel the same way on that. Like we've had quite a few house calls. We don't charge a penny. No. If you're having trouble in the paranormal, anybody worth their grain of salt in this field is not going to charge you. They're going to come out and help you if you're desperately needing help. Yeah, we would hope.
Not everybody, first of all, there's a lot of people who won't go to residence.
Yeah.
And we go to residence. And the other thing is, we're not in it. Oops, my light. We're not in it, that aspect, to make money.
Right.
Right.
I mean, that's not, I don't need the money. I do it because I can. I do it because of a challenge. And it's not ego challenge. It's more like I've got this gift and I was told I had to use it. I have to use it to help people. And so I'm obligated to help people in that way. And I also walk up to people in grocery stores sometimes and give them messages or bars or wherever I'm at. Cause you start drinking and then they start talking and then you gotta, that's a thing. So we don't go out very often anymore. I get 2 drinks and I start going, that person over there does this, and this person over there has this, and this person, and it's like
yeah,
like
you kind of started reading us, and I'm like, don't tell me that, Julie. Don't tell me that, Julie.
alcohol opens that gateway, you talk more and more and more, and
And the alcohol was flowing. That
it was
Yeah,
flowing
it
that
was.
night. Yeah.
Yeah, we were having a good time.
We've had plenty of talks about the paranormal after parties on this podcast. All of our viewers and listeners know exactly what happens.
But I have to clarify too. I also don't go in under the influence when I'm working with
no.
these.
Oh, no,
never.
We're
It would
talking
be
about
disaster.
the after chat. The after
Yeah.
chat.
So people who think, oh, I can drink and go in and I'll be more fun.
You better not.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
Hey, your guard's down at that point.
No.
Oh, it is. It is. And anything can jump.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can't protect yourself. How can you protect anybody else that's there?
Right.
That's very true. And partners, I mean, you've got to go in with people. You guys know this. I watch so many of my friends that they go on investigations by themselves, and I'm like, fucking stupid. They're not fucking stupid. That act in itself is fucking stupid.
Right.
I get that they're loners, but nobody's there to watch you. I mean, I've been jumped 3 times. Well, I mean, I channel. So, I mean, I don't consider normal spirits the one to tell somebody something jumped. Like, that's just a message.
Right.
But 3 times I've had bad calls. And all 3 times I needed somebody to get me out of that situation.
Right.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to be by yourself doing any of that because, you don't have anybody to help. You don't have anybody to back you up,
and you don't even know you're doing it. So,
no,
you're aware you're off, but you're not aware of anything else. Like,
right.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you right now. Like, case in point, had I not had people there with us at Old Park the last time that we went, I don't know what would have happened to me because I got completely taken over for 4.5 hours. I have missing time. And it took somebody else, my aunt that was there, being like, that's not my nephew. I want my nephew back. That's not my nephew, until they could finally get me out of it and pull it off of me. And I was there with 15 people. You know, so it can get very dangerous if you do this stuff by yourself. And I had no idea. Nobody had any idea that I was being taken over for 4.5 hours. That's how.
Well, I have a friend that took on I don't know what you call it. She got jumped, and she knew she was she was a willing participant in it in New Orleans, and she made it. She had a partner that was with her, guiding, like watching her the whole time, keeping her safe. But she went on almost a 24-hour run with this entity in her, having the time of her life, like giddy, having a good time, but doesn't remember anything she did.
Wow.
Like it took her for a ride. I have channeled not reptilians. I just drew a blank on what the fuck it was called. It's like a reptilian. Oh, damn it. I can't remember. Channel one of those things. An
alien.
It was a interdimensional. It was in the earth type thing.
Okay.
And I have a
like an elemental
or subterranean.
Subterranean.
Okay.
And they look like reptilians. God. Russell, if you're on, type in what it is.
He
is on. So
Russell, type it in the morning when you're
draconian starseed.
Yeah, draconian. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm tired.
Thanks, Russell.
This is without alcohol. And apparently I was like, smelling people and digging my nails into the floorboards and doing all kinds of stuff. That one went well. That one, I probably could have had a little more fun with, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But the 2 demons were horrible. And to go home with that, like what would have happened, Blake, if you had gone home, and not, I mean, you have to look at these things like.
Because the thing is, from what I've been told and everything I've been filled in on is that it kind of, I don't know, maybe, I guess you could say y'all two could probably say a little bit more, but like progressed as the night went on. It's like it first started off with me like secluding, and then
you became more reclusive.
I kind of got a little smart aleck here and there, and then I got flat out like, no, and it kind of was getting a bit more aggressive until they finally got me outside and started pulling it off. And then I just started being an ass to Shelly. is what she said. I was
That's
being
all
a
right.
smart ass, rolling eyes, laughing like this ain't gonna work. I don't even know why
I got
you're
it off
trying.
with some
Yeah,
help from somebody else. We got it
Yeah.
off. Buddy.
Yeah.
yeah. So there's no telling what would have happened had I been by myself and taken it home with me.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well,
Like-
you're living a different life. Look at how many people change. They change. And people don't understand why they change, or they get into drugs, or they get into things in situations that were so, you hear these people, that was so unlike them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe it wasn't them. I mean, people mess with things, and people inadvertently get attachments, and these things happen. The second one I had was at the same guy's house that I had the first one. We went back to finish cleaning it, and I had a ball cap on. Did everything right that time. Thought I did everything right that time. And here you go with thinking, you should never assume that you do everything right.
Mm-hmm.
And went into, I had cleaned the whole house and got into that last computer room again with the 3D printers, and I had a ball cap on. And I wore a white ball cap and actually had cleansed myself before I went in and did everything that I was supposed to do. Played that one extremely safe. And I remember at one point tipping my hat down. Like, I don't wear a hat, period. And I tipped my ball cap all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris said that was it. Like, I guess I wrapped my arms around his neck and I said, "It's all gone, baby. Let's just go home. I'm tired." And he's like, "Let me see your eyes." And I'm like, "No, you don't need to see my eyes. It's all gone. I can tell you everything's clear in the house. Everything's good to go. Let's just go home." And he's like, "We can go home. Let me see your eyes." And I'm like, "No, you don't need to see my eyes. Everything's okay." And he said he flipped my hat up and my eyes were jet black.
Mm.
Whoa.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I remember getting extremely dizzy, and it was like, I think he dumped like a whole bottle of holy water in my dreads, because it was really like crusty and nasty afterwards. And I remember saying, "Oh my God, this hurts. This is stupid. Like, why did you just do that? That hurt."
Mm-hmm.
And then I was on the couch, so I don't know.
And that's the craziest for anybody who hasn't ever experienced or witnessed that. We actually have that on video of somebody being taken over at one of our investigations. And when she's laid on the ground and looking straight up with her eyes open, her eyes are just, there is not a single thing of white.
No.
So until you see it, I know everybody who's probably listening or watching is like, "Oh my God, like, okay, somebody's eyes turn black." No, we've now seen it, and it happens. It's legit, and it is scary as shit when you see it, because you're
and
like,
the multi-tones that can come out, and the language differences that can come out, and the filth from some, like, I mean, I can talk shit better than anybody, but the responses that I've given people have just been whacked. Like, even I'm going, why the hell is this coming out of my mouth? Why am I saying these things? But I can't stop it. It's like I said, you're in the back seat and somebody's driving the car and you're just going, "Oh shit, here we go."
So, when that happens, are you still present? Like you said, like you're in the back seat watching yourself.
Sometimes it's a shit. Sometimes you're watching the shit show. Sometimes it's like there's plexiglass in between, and you can actually, like, you're banging on the plexiglass, and you're going, "Please don't say this. Oh my God, I'm doing this," but there's no control over what you're doing. At other times, I think when it's going between a partial and a full, you're going in and out. So no, you don't know. You don't know. Like, I always, one of my telltales is when I'm taking something on is I know I do this. It's something I've watched myself do from the back seat, is I'll start popping my neck and I'll roll. And then I don't know if that's the beginning of channeling or if that is actually when I'm getting jumped, but I can, at that point in time, I can start smelling it and tasting it and becoming it. And then I can either control it and I can step back, or I'm in for a ride. And at that point,
it's crazy.
I don't have any control at that point.
I don't know. I don't know which way I'd want it. I don't know if I would want to know that it's coming. You know what I mean? Know, to be able to feel that it's coming, know your signs that it's coming, and not be able to do anything, or just,
you just sit back for the ride, like, "Oh boy, here we go."
Just fucking let it happen, and be like, Yeah, like, oh, my friends will get me. Just do it if you're gonna do it, you know.
Please let me get up on the ceiling just once. Just once I want to get up on the
And make
ceiling.
sure they get it on camera, right?
Right.
If I get up on the
Make sure.
ceiling, somebody better be running the camera.
But listen, here's the thing. I want it to be replayed on TikTok with the sound going, Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
Spider Pig, Spider Pig.
Yeah, Spider-Pig,
That's
Spider-Pig.
what Spider Pig does.
So I have a question, Julie. If and you know, we talked a little bit. So if you are doing, like, I do a lot of Estes methods. I've gotten to where I do a little less because it's too tiring on me. It drains me too much. So my question, because we did one this last weekend where I had so much anger, and it was just anger. It was anger, and I found Blake in the room. Had on a blindfold. Can't tell you how I found Blake, but it was like all my energy just got pulled one way. But I kept saying, I am so angry. I am going to stay in this chair. I want to jump up. And there was like this line that was almost like I knew I could get up at any minute, but something was telling me, don't stand up, don't stand up, don't stand up. What would you call that? Is that somebody they're trying to chunk me in the back seat, or and I'm still holding
Yeah,
the steering wheel?
yeah,
What is that?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, God,
I mean, I
feel so
think you're on the verge of like a partial, and it's your subconscious or your consciousness is trying to keep you right where you're at to protect you as it's trying to throw you under the bus and do that.
So is that something you can control whenever you're in it?
Not always. Not always. I mean, I say, again, Russell will tell you, I've called him, I think, every name in the book.
Poor
Every
Russell.
time we do an investigation and I channel something, oh, good Lord. I think he's been called a whole lot of shit. Because he's the one asking the questions, and I'm like getting irritated, and it just like, boom, it'll come out. And
well, don't worry, Russell. I'm the same way with when Shelly's, because I'm usually the one leading Shelly, so I always get the ones that insult. So I'm right there with you, buddy.
Now wait a minute. I get called more names than either one of y'all do.
Yeah,
right, no,
you get it worse
you
than
do,
anybody.
you do.
I
But
get
if we talking, put one of the women's under and a man's lead, I'm usually the one leading Shelly. Usually, if Shelly is under. Now, if me and Shelly are both under, then it's this
Poor
asshole,
Ryan.
Ryan's
Yeah,
just
poor
getting all
Ryan.
it. But
I've been called some shit.
I want to kind of go back, because I honestly, I'm just going to tell you this, Julie. What you said is that that's what I have begun to think is happening with Shelly. Whenever, because it's now been 3 or 4 times that I don't care where I'm at in a room. When I do an Estes, I walk around. I will circle her. I will go across the room. There's cannot be any way that she knows where I'm at. I do not talk loud enough. She's blindfolded, earphones on. And every time she will turn, and I'm talking sometimes 90-degree turn, and land, inches from my face and go, I don't like whoever is right here. And it's the way she says, I don't like whoever is right here. And I've begun to think that, Shelly, honestly, that I think that is them trying to pitch you back.
It is, because they know. See, you're blindfolded. You yourself, your body, your experience is blindfolded. And for those who don't know Estes, you're completely blindfolded in your sensory depth. You go in with noise canceling headphones. So you're blindfolded and you're sensory depth with the headphones. So you're not hearing anything around you. I do it 2 ways. I do it channeling, and I do SB7 as well, or whatever box I'm using at the time. Shout out to Supernatural Inc., because I have a lot of their prototypes, and I'll use their prototypes. I have a reverse play box, which is amazing, because if it comes out of my mouth, I'm hearing it straight forward. It's actually being said to me in reverse. So if I'm speaking it forward, it's played it in reverse. It gets really weird there.
Is that one of Katie Stafford's boxes?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've got the Wise Man too, and it works equally well. It's just, they're fun boxes. But a lot of times I won't go in with a box. So they'll have the box and they'll have the questions, and I'm just spewing out what I'm hearing in my head and what I'm being told to say, or I'm channeling whatever needs to speak. And so I can look around a room and get up and you guys have seen me in action. Like, I fall. I have no sense of balance, especially if I'm drinking. But I can walk across a room blindfolded and with headphones on and find anything I need to find. That's not me. That is spirit channeling. That is the entity taking you where it needs you to go.
They need to knock that shit off.
Well, it's
But
like
you ask for it the minute you put yourself in that.
That is
Exactly.
correct. I know
Yeah.
what I'm
And
in
that's
for.
what people, that's what I don't understand about
Yeah.
people who you watch on the videos. And they, number one, yes, it does catch you by surprise. We've all screamed, we've all yelled, we've all run. But you know, if you're asking something to do something to you and then they do it, why are you freaking out about it?
Oh, I don't freak out. It's
Yeah.
just kind of like, all right, whatever.
But some people
You know?
do, and that's my
Yeah.
point. Like if you're
Yeah.
not ready for that,
Mhm.
don't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well, we
why,
know whenever we do something like that, that's what we're signing up for. That's why we always tell people you're knocking on a door. You don't know who's going to answer, what's
Right.
going to answer, or even if they're going to answer. But, you know, if you have any, you raise your hand, you say, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And done. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with tapping out. I've tapped out
Oh, no.
before going, I will not talk to whoever this is anymore. They're too close to me. Don't like it. I want out.
Or they're
You know,
breathing on you while they're talking. That
Mhm.
drives
felt that
me
before.
crazy. When
Yeah.
and if they touch me, well, I'm interpreting and not willing to channel at that time, because there's a lot of times when I'm doing that, I'll say, you don't have permission. Now that doesn't mean it's not going to happen, as we've proven. But if I say you don't have permission, I am simply doing this method right now, and then something comes up and touches me, there's a lot of times I will end it right there because they've crossed a boundary with me and I can't
You
trust.
broke the rules.
You
Right.
broke the rules. I'm not going to go back in and put myself at risk. Now, a lot of times I open myself up as a channel. I will. Sorry about that. I keep blinding everybody. A lot of times, blinded by the light. There's a lot of times I will open myself up and I'll let anything come to me that wants to come to me. And again, I don't recommend that for people who don't have the means to handle that.
Right.
I mean, I've got a partner who's keeping check on me every minute.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rule is, you don't leave me alone. You don't leave me alone. I am not to be left alone in a room unless I tell you I want to be left alone. And then if I tell you that, you probably need to be watching me, because I probably shouldn't have said that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I think that's just, it's smart investigating when it boils down to it. We've already kind of covered that. You know, I mean, these two, when the lights go out and shit goes down, I know they've got my back, because they know me in those moments better than anybody else. They can look at me, and if an eyebrow is out of place, they're like, "Nah, he ain't right. Get him out." You know, and same thing for me to them. And so it's just comforting to know that, you know, we know what we're signing up for. We know what we're asking for, but you have to have those people have your back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
That's
there is
investigation. Otherwise, you're going to go down the crapper.
Yeah.
Right. And there is those times you get more than what you bargained for, and it's good to have your people with you to help you out of those situations.
Yeah, this is just some little old lady that's haunting the place and she needs to go home, and then you get in there and it's like,
And then suddenly you want to beat the crap out of the two dudes who make sure you're all right. And you threaten to. And you're ready to follow through.
take a step back. It's okay. Breathe.
Oh, no, I left. I was like, I got to go.
Yeah, she completely left the location. Yeah.
I was going to hurt somebody if I didn't. I'm like, got to go. So I have to ask you. Oh gosh, we're running out of time.
It's all good.
Julie, I wanted to also ask you what. Okay, in the Reiki healing process, because this is something I'm very curious about. Whenever I had what I just talked to you about I had to leave the location. I could not be around these gentlemen. I literally had to go to a Reiki healer to get those horrible, she called them like fish hooks, little barbs, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of little fish hooks and barbs in me, removed. Now, as a Reiki healer, I guess I got to ask, how do you find that? How can you identify that? Because that's something that's very confusing to me. Like I didn't feel right, but I couldn't locate where the pain was coming from, or even if it was a specific pain.
As a Reiki healer, we use energy fields, and so some people will see auras as well as feeling things. I'm not great with the auras unless somebody's got a big attachment, and then it stands out really loud and clear. But you're feeling energy source, and you feel what a normal body feels like with the energy as you're ruffling through their energy. And you can feel areas that are hot and cold. You can feel sharp things. You can sense third eye. Again, you're in tune. You can go through, and I happen to have made a connection along the way, probably in the last couple of years again, where if I'm scanning something, I'll start feeling it in my body.
Mm.
So I will connect and say, whether I'm working long distance on the computer with somebody or I'm working in person, I'll go along and say, okay, so what have you had happen in your middle lumbar area? What's going on with your right hip? What's happened to that area? You have a lot of GI issues. That's where you're holding all your anger and your stress in. Or when I'm doing cleansings, and it's a form of entity removal as well as Reiki, because I combine a whole lot of different facets. I can go to the area and it gets sticky. And that's a tap in for me, like, oh shit, here we go. And so you start clearing away the layers. And I will actually, like, I will see things like, I can't explain that. I don't know if it's third eye, if it's an energy thing with third eye, but I'll say it's stringy and it's long and it's very much like an octopus, or it's got a lot of long tentacles and you're pulling that shit out. It's gray, gooey, black, slimy, oily. You can use all those words to describe things. Or it's sharp. It has a lot of teeth. It has barbs. And a lot of times you'll start pulling things off of people. And then what you're doing is you're getting the web or the mesh or the little pieces of it, but it will go deeper and shift. And so I'll tell people when I'm working on him, if you feel something shift, if you feel sudden pain, if you have a sharp pain in your head, if your throat all of a sudden is clogged, if something happens, you need to let me know that, because we need to put a block because it's shifting. And then I've got to chase it. And you're just chasing energy fields. And there's a lot of difference. I did a cleansing today on somebody, and I used a drum that I had gotten at the Benton Fair. Shout out to Blue Dog. Amazing drums. And I was using the drum, and I was like shamanically drumming, and I had nothing. I had a lot of things stacked in my shop because I'm rearranging my shop. But my phone was laying flat, and my eyeglasses were laying flat, and a whole bunch of shit just like I hit, and you could hear something pop, and the cat ran out of the room, and all this shit went flying off the counters. And she stretched and she goes, well, that felt like 1,000 pounds was just lifted off of me. So, the vibrations will loosen things, and things will pop off too. And if you can get things to do the work for you, that's even better. Because clearly that was one thing I didn't have to pull. It just went.
Yeah.
I don't know where it went. I'm assuming it dissolved because I haven't found it.
It's not in your house, you're pretty sure, right?
You guys see it tonight.
Okay.
But there's different ways. Like your shamans will use drums. You can use singing bowls, bells. I use smoke. That just comes from the person who trained me, who was holistic and not just Reiki. So I will Palo Santo, or I'll shotgun cigar smoke on various areas of the body. And you can literally, I can read smoke and fire. So you'll see the things in it. And then I know what I'm dealing with.
You didn't tell us that.
So I can pull things out of fire too. And that's like one of my favorite pastimes when I start drinking, is to light a fire and watch the stuff come out of it.
You have to tell us how that works now. I have to know.
I can't tell you. It's just fire is an elemental. It has energy and it has entities, and it will draw out the things around it to play.
Good things, not good things? 50-50?
If they stay in the fire, I guess it's good things.
I want to read fire. That sounds amazing.
It is fun. It's
like shit.
I've got the most amazing pictures. Like, I love lighting a fire, and you just sit there with your iPhone, and you literally get it focused in, and you just start clicking. Like, your thumb is on there, and you just click, 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 and you'll end up with like 1,000 pictures. Just click, 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 click. And as the fire is morphing, you're just taking these pictures, and you'll get maybe 10 or 15 perfect pictures with things like interacting. It's amazing. Live living things taking shape that are doing their thing in the fire.
I want to go start a fire now.
No,
Just a
Shelley.
touch.
I wouldn't
No.
say that too loud.
No,
I
Shelley,
mean,
no.
in the
No.
fireplace, in
No,
the
no.
fireplace, we have
Yeah.
a fireplace. I'll just leave the air conditioner on high. It'll be
We
fine.
got a Paracon this week, and you're gonna
Fire.
wind up with no eyebrows. Stop.
Oh, I don't have any anyway.
Shelley's gonna keep you here all night. So
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
I'll ask the question
Part
if
two,
anybody
part
has
two.
any. Yeah, part
I
two.
do have one last question for
Okay.
you.
Last
You're a current RN, right? Or you were an RN?
I am disabled now.
Okay.
And I am, yes. So no, I no longer. In 2021, I developed COVID, September 9th, 2021.
Oh.
I had double pneumonia.
Uh-huh.
My lungs were completely full. And on the 13th day, I threw a
Mhm.
double blood clot in my lung.
Oh.
Should have died, stayed at home. And it's spiderweb suctioned to the side of my lung, and they don't know how.
Oh man.
So I'm currently
rough.
on 3 inhalers and injections, monthly injections, and my O2 sat drops, and I have a whole bunch of
Wow.
shit. So
Okay. Well, when you were an RN,
mhm.
how did someone like you walk into a hospital and not get overwhelmed every time you were in those doors because of all the death and all the spirits wandering around in that building?
I had a lot of trying times. And I that's why I did institutional nursing for so long. Like nursing school was one thing that was like a whole, when I taught, that was most of the time teaching. Home health had its own battles. I had to deal with a lot of death in home health, and that wasn't cool because although I talk to the dead and I can channel the dead, I don't like the act of dying. It freaks me out. It makes me very sad. I take on all the feelings, and I don't talk about death a lot. I'm a lot better than I used to be. I've kind of learned since my own incident, like I've figured out that it's not over, and that you have to have faith and things keep going. So I think I kind of leveled up on that one a couple times since then, and have worked through some of that. But home health to me there was a lot of trauma with that. Institutional nursing, the patients were as crazy as I was. But patients would come to you and they'd say, like, can you not see that bloody person that's out in the hall? Well, we used to medicate for that. And, now I take a step back and I'm like, you know what? I can see those people now. So I've had to work through some of that and forgive myself for medicating people down that I probably should not have medicated down. Because it's, who knows what they're seeing. If I see what I see on the side of the road,
Right.
Shit. And I'm not crazy because I have friends that can see the same thing I see, because now we have conventions and we can get together and say, do you see these things at night? Like, do you have to pull back around and there's a kid on the side of the road when there really isn't a kid on the side? Yeah, I've done that. Okay. So I'm not crazy. See, other people have done those same things. So back then there wasn't that shared experience.
Right.
You learn to talk to the walls. You learn to talk to the things that you hear. Night shift at the prison was probably the roughest go, because the walls did talk. There were things that walked. There were things you heard. And just kind of like, did you see that? And everybody's looking at you. Okay, never mind. That was just, I'm tired. I need more coffee. But really, did you see that? Like, that was really incredible. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Julie, I'm going to tell you, I'm so grateful you came on tonight. You are fascinating. We've been like trying to get you on. We're so glad we finally got you to agree to come on with us.
you.
We're very grateful for your time. Hang out with us 1 second, because Blake is going to tell them everything that they need to know real quick.
Well, first off, I'm going to give Julie a second to plug anything she wants to plug.
Absolutely.
Do you have any pages they can find you at, follow you, subscribe, or anything like that?
Facebook, Juli Couch, JuliCouch. The Broom Closet, it's got me with the dreads. So there's like a million broom closets. Go with the one with the dreads. If it doesn't have dreads, it's not me. Raven's Eye Paranormal. And give me a shout out. My phone number is it's on all my cards. 573-257-1774. You get funky or weird, I block your ass. I get a lot of weird things, and I block them. So I don't hesitate to block.
Speaking the truth. Well, I will make our sign off real short and sweet since we've kept her a little bit longer than we said that we would. We apologize, but we were having so much fun. Make sure that you are following us across all of our social media channels as well. Search everything vaguely paranormal and look for the green sound wave. We are on every social media platform that you can think of. Tomorrow morning, we will be posting up our Linktree link that's going to have all of those links. You can easily find it. It's also going to have our public investigations as well as our Patreon page. Our Patreon page is the fastest and easiest way you can help support what we do. For just $5 a month, you get, I think it's close to 400 additional Patreon exclusive videos. So yeah, it's just
Sign up. I did.
It's a shit show over there. I promise
Julie,
you.
we're sorry.
Yeah, no, but we have a lot of fun. It's where we act really goofy. You get to know us really well, very personal stories, all that kind of stuff. So we do offer that 7-day free trial as well. So you want to take advantage of that before you sign up. Other than that, those are the ways that you can help support everything vaguely paranormal. But we also appreciate your downloads, likes, shares, comments, subscribes, all of those stuff. So, Shelly.
And if you want to support the show, you can go to the evppod@gmail.com if you want to email us and tell us anything. But please go like and subscribe to that YouTube page and that Facebook page. So we want to thank you guys for watching Everything Vaguely Paranormal. We want to thank our very special guest, Miss Juli Couch. Please stop by JuliCouch. Please go see her at the Broom Closet on Facebook. Hit up her Facebook page, friend request her, like.
Just don't get weird.
Paranormal. Don't get weird. So thank you guys for joining.
Weirdness is good.
That's right.
Sometimes get a little weird.
Right.
Yeah.
A little weird. Not huge weird.
So thank you for joining us. For myself, I'm Shelly Pruitt. My partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Mr. Ryan Roberts. Special thank you to Juli Couch.
Thank you,
and
guys.
thank you for joining us. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.